Namaskar, Umakant ji, Subash ji. Namaskar, viewers. And we are discussing today about Uttarkhand Assembly polls. And Assembly polls are already on the track, and political parties are busy finalizing candidates, and political alignments are redone. And just like UP, Uttarakhand, which is part of UP, is also is facing some sort of anti-incumbency against the BJP government, going by the media reports. We will discuss that with Subash Dulia, who was the former vice chancellor of the university in Uttarakhand and a media educationist, and Umakant Lekhera, who was with Hindustan newspaper, and also the Press Club of India's president. Thank you both for joining me. I'll start with Subash ji. What is the issues as you see for these elections? Is there any strong anti-incumbency which we hear from UP as it spread to Uttarakhand, or is it business as usual?
Thank you, Cherian, for your kind introduction. Well, I think I will start from Uttarakhand because that is my home state, and I have some idea about the Uttarakhand. Anti-incumbency in Uttarakhand, the problem with BJP was because BJP was never a stable government as such. They kept on changing their chief ministers. So that has sent a very, very wrong message. Then in Uttarakhand is dominantly upper caste state. So in Uttarakhand, the OBC factor and Dalit factor is not that material the way it is in Uttar Pradesh and Punjab. If you go into the core of the Uttarakhand politics class was always lacking some kind of vision for development of the state. With the objective that the state was created, that it was at that time it was perceived that UP is a huge state, and the development planning for entire Uttar Pradesh is not so relevant for the state of Uttarakhand. But that dream is far away from the realization. Nothing has occurred, in fact. In real issues, none of these governments have addressed that issue. Now, what I'm saying is, it's the problem of the political class, and I don't see much difference between BJP and Congress in Uttarakhand because of these factors. There's no religious polarization as such in Uttarakhand. In Uttarakhand, there is not much that means caste polarization, barring some district like Haridwar and Udham Singh Nagar. So it is there are constituencies are very, very small, and the personal rapport is also important. These defections now, I think these defections are something which is very, very dicey thing. I don't know why people who are entrenched in a political party, they swear by the ideals and principles of that political party. They worked in that political party for 2 decades and 3 decades. How suddenly they can convert into something different, and how people are going to accept them and treat them. So that's one point. And you see, I was Vice Chancellor of Uttarakhand for 3 years. And in one sentence, I can summarize the politics of Uttarakhand. In these 3 years, I got large number of telephone calls from politicians of Uttarakhand, from different political parties. And every single call was to request to do something which was irregular. I never got a single phone call from a politician who will discuss with me that how the university is doing, what are the meetings. So it's that brand of politics that is prevailing in Uttarakhand. Okay. Well, these are the very strong words, but I think it's relevant to utter these words. that the politics of Uttarakhand is not at all people-oriented. It's a politics of personal favors, getting their own people some favors, and I've seen people who are gathered in the ministers' bungalows. They are all there for the personal favors. They are not there to demand schools for their place. They are not there to demand hospitals for their place. They are not there to demand roads for their place. That is a transformation that politics has occurred.
Okay, thank you, sir, for that insight. Umakant ji,
Yeah.
ये what he's saying that Uttarakhand being one of the least developed states in the hill region, development politics is which BJP says that is its agenda, Sabka Vikas and Sabka Vishwas, is not being practiced in Uttarakhand. That's what the sum and substance of Subash ji. It's not only BJP, Congress, and other political parties. And there is a new entrant which is trying to make its presence felt, which is Aam Aadmi Party. So, आप इस सिचुएशन को कैसे देखते हैं?
देखिए, whatever Professor Dulia narrated right now, I think he narrated the ground realities of the Uttarakhand, and the state was carved out. He rightly said from Uttarakhand, from rest of the Uttar Pradesh. It was carved out 21 years back, and now this is the fifth elections. People of Uttarakhand will go to vote their new assemblies, fifth assemblies. मैं ज्यादा इसमें ये दो तीन बातें जोड़ना चाहूंगा कि स्टेट बना दिया, स्टेट बन गया, स्टेट बनने के बाद जो उस स्टेट का जो डायरेक्शंस होना चाहिए डेवलपमेंट का, प्लानिंग्स का, वो डायरेक्शंस आज तक नहीं बना. उसको कुछ लोग देवभूमि बोलते हैं, कुछ लोग उसको हिमालयन स्टेट भी बोलते हैं. तो मैं ये मानता हूं कि ना तो वो देवभूमि है, ना तो वो हिमालयन स्टेट है. इन रियल सेंस देवभूमि में जो भी रिलीजियस चीजें होनी चाहिए, तो वहां जो भी रिलीजियस नहीं है वो सारा काम वहां पर हो रहा है. राइट फ्रॉम दी, हम लिकर की बात करें, लिकर इज कोई ऐसा बैन उत्तराखंड में नहीं है, लेकिन लिकर बिकेम ए पैरेलल इकोनॉमी, पार्ट ऑफ द पैरेलल इकोनॉमी इन उत्तराखंड. एंड व्हेन द स्टेट वाज took a shape in 2001, I think 200 or 200-300 crore business, it was liquor business was confined to 200-300 crore rupees. Now, after 21 years, ये जो बिजनेस है लिकर का, it has crossed I think 3,000 crore per year. So that is you can 30,000, 28,000 to 30,000. So that took a very major shape, during the last 21 years. That is the one development, biggest development of Uttarakhand. अब जो स्टेट का जो निर्माण हुआ था, जो बना था स्टेट, तो उसमें अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट जो है मेजर इशू था. लोगों के जो डेवलपमेंट थे, जो गांव को में जो शहर जैसी, सिटी जैसी जो फैसिलिटीज थी, this was also one of the major issues, because people were deprived of the basic developmental issues like health, like education, like schools, and there is no you can say it's no programs of the skill development. And in the remote areas, the standard of the primary education was such a low, that they were not in positions to compete with the national examinations like UPSCs and SSCs and all that, you see. So जो proportion होना चाहिए था उत्तराखंड का नेशनल सर्विसेज में, वो proportion बहुत लगातार डाउन चला गया. एंड अब क्या हो गया कि जो उत्तराखंड बनने के बाद उत्तराखंड गवर्नमेंट ने क्या किया है कि रादर देन जो विलेज को डेवलपमेंट का इकाई मानना चाहिए थे, रादर देन मेकिंग द विलेज एज द डेवलपमेंट यूनिट ऑफ द डेवलपमेंट, they have converted the symbol of development, the cities. The whole of the economic activities focused and centered in Dehradun, Haridwar, Udham Singh Nagar and Nainital. ये जो इसको प्लेन का एरिया भी बोल सकते हैं, और इस एरिया में सारी इकोनॉमिक एक्टिविटीज पूरा तरह लामबंद हो गई। तो उससे क्या हो गया कि जो रिमोट एरियाज थे, रिमोट एरियाज के जिन लोगों के लिए उत्तराखंड का राज्य का जो स्थापना हुआ, एस्टेब्लिश हुआ, वो लोग आज भी उनकी तकदीर को, उनका लक वैसे की वैसा है। देयर इज नो चेंज ऑन द ग्राउंड रियलिटीज ऑफ द issue of the unemployment, that is not solved. Only one option before in the hand of the youth is ये फौज में भर्ती हो जाओ, पैरामिलिट्री में भर्ती हो जाओ, पुलिस में भर्ती हो जाओ। देयर इज अ लिमिट इन अगर आप आर्मी में भर्ती होने की बात करेंगे तो उसका एक लिमिट होता है, छोटा छोटा लिमिट होता है। एक डिस्ट्रिक्ट से 40 यूथ 50 यूथ ला सकते हैं। तो यू हैव टू डिवाइड the proportion in every 13 districts of Uttarakhand. So that is not possible that every youth, unemployed youth, who is a graduate, a little bit educated, he will get the job in the armed forces. That is not possible at all.
So,
practically not possible. So
Umakant,
yeah.
What you are saying is that development, a state was carved out for developing that hilly region, Uttarakhand, which has not happened in 21 years due to lack of political will or whatever it is. So is that an issue before the competing parties, whether it is BJP, Congress or Aam Aadmi Party? Are they saying that they want to change the course of development? What is it your take on it?
My take is very simple, not complicated. I can tell you one thing, this the goal post from Lucknow, that is the only difference. गोल पोस्ट जो पहले लखनऊ का था, वो लखनऊ का गोल पोस्ट देहरादून में शिफ्ट हो गया। जो पॉलिसीज थी, पॉलिसीज पैरालिसिस हो गया डे वन से। एंड दी जो ब्यूरोक्रेट्स थे, जो उत्तराखंड में जो ब्यूरोक्रेट्स आए एट द फॉर्मेशन ऑफ द स्टेट ऑफ उत्तराखंड, मोस्ट ऑफ द ब्यूरोक्रेट्स they were having the charges of corruption charges against them, or they were not doing their job. They were anyhow, they were not in good merits in their services. So they migrated from Lucknow, Allahabad to Dehradun. They chose their cadre, Uttarakhand cadre. उसके बाद क्या हो गया कि क्योंकि जो पॉलिटिकल क्लास थी उत्तराखंड की, वो पॉलिटिकल क्लास वाज नॉट दैट मैच्योर्ड कि वो एक जो घाग जो ब्यूरोक्रेट्स है, जो चालाक ब्यूरोक्रेट्स है, इन ब्यूरोक्रेट्स को कंट्रोल कर सके। And bureaucrats took the advantage of the illiteracy of the leaders, and majority of the MLAs, the breeds of MLAs and ministers, most of them, they are illiterates. They made उनका फेक डिग्री नहीं होगा, उनका MA किया, BA किया, लेकिन उनको पॉलिटिकल एजुकेशन एंड जो अकाउंटेबिलिटी एंड सोशल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी एंड यू कैन से दी ऑनेस्टी का जो पैरामीटर था, वो ऑनेस्टी का पैरामीटर वो नहीं था जो उस स्टेट को, एक डिफिकल्ट स्टेट को होना चाहिए था। और उसका जो रिजल्ट्स है, उसका रिजल्ट्स आज ये है कि होल जो उत्तराखंड का स्टेट है, ये इट इज कलप्स कर गया। मोर देन 60,000 अभी ये लोन पे चल रहा है, पूरा स्टेट 60,000 लोन पे। मेरे पास एक लिस्ट है 14 आई थिंक 14-15 जो गवर्नमेंट डिपार्टमेंट है इन उत्तराखंड, they are not getting salaries from many months.
Okay.
And आप बीजेपी कह रही है मून से उठा करके ले आएंगे, एंड अगेन अब दोबारा पावर में आने के लिए दे चेंज द चीफ मिनिस्टर। फर्स्ट दे सेड इन 2017 बीजेपी सेड दैट वी विल चेंज द फेट ऑफ द उत्तराखंड। अगर आपने 4 साल तक एक ऐसे चीफ मिनिस्टर को वहां बिठा के रखा जिसने वहां करप्शन के अलावा कुछ किया नहीं, त्रिवेंद्र सिंह रावत ने, देन you have changed suddenly, all of a sudden changed him. You have installed a member of parliament there. All of a sudden, after 3 months, you came to know, ये तो he's a member of parliament and there is a re-election होना चाहिए, होगा इसका तो मुश्किल हो जाएगा. Then you again change and Dhami became chief minister only for 4 months. So in this election, BJP has nothing to say what they did in the last 4 years and 4.5 years. What they did. There is no story. तो सबका साथ, सबका विकास, उत्तराखंड के लोग तो इस थ्योरी को यकीन करने वाले नहीं है, ऐसा मैं मानता हूँ.
Okay, Umakant ji, so you are saying that anti-incumbency will be a major factor. Subash ji,
Yeah.
what Umakant ji is saying is that you had CMs like Mr. Khanduri and Harish Rawat, who are central ministers, who are good administrative experience and exposure in Delhi, how the bureaucrats and all function, the system works. But you mean to say they are not able to deliver on the ground in Uttarakhand, even as CMs? And Mr. Harish Rawat is the potential CM candidate for the Congress also. Subhash ji.
Well, you see, first point which I will just elaborate on that, Uttarakhand state was definitely carved out because it was considered that the development model of entire huge state of Uttarakhand will not be valid for Uttarakhand. So Uttarakhand with totally different kind of a geography and demography would be different kind of development model. That development model never evolved. Now, for example, you see, where Himachal Pradesh were carved out, I think the chief minister was Parmar. And he was the man behind the development of the Himachal Pradesh. He laid that foundation. All said and done about the Bansi Lal, but Bansi Lal was key factor in the prosperity that is now to bring prosperity in the state of Haryana. Uttarakhand, we couldn't find that kind of a leader except 5 years tenure of Narendra Tiwari. That is one point.
Yes.
Because during that period, certain policies were initiated which would have paved way for the development, like establishment of some industrial zones. Now, fundamentally, I don't see any difference in governance of Congress and BJP in Uttarakhand. It's the same set of rules, same kind of what are corruption which just Umakant mentioned. So there is no difference, fundamental difference in the governance. Now, Pushkar Singh Dhami, who is a very good friend of mine, he's a very nice person, wonderful person, very honest. But the point is, when you appoint some youthful chief minister, that must reflect in his governance. In fact, when Pushkar Singh Dhami took over, I communicated to him through some common friend that he should take some drastic action so that youthfulness is reflected. That could have made a difference. Ki ek naujawan mukhyamantri aaya who can take courageous decisions. Nothing of that sort has happened. So what is the point in appointing a very young chief minister is his actions are not reflecting anything which we expect from a young chief minister. So I think Pushkar Singh Dhami, despite the fact that he is a very nice person, very gentle person, very honest, but he couldn't create that impact that should have influenced the elections. Second is that you see now today the media is totally fragmentized. We are sitting in Delhi and we get all kind of distorted images. We don't get any right kind of analysis what really is happening on the ground level there. So every information is filtered, is biased, is supporting one political orientation or other political orientation. So what really is going to be the opinion poll in Uttarakhand? For me, it is difficult to assess from sitting in Delhi. But just on macro level, I have that analysis. At micro level, I really don't know what really is happening there because we don't get that kind of information.
Okay, that's an important observation about the media itself. But Umakant ji, Aam Aadmi Party is making a lot of noise these days about their bhumi and pilgrimage to Uttarakhand, sab karke. Will they make any dent in the bipartisan Congress BJP political tussle there?
Your question is very relevant in respect to the Aam Aadmi Party and in respect of Uttarakhand. They recently, 3-4 months back, this established their presence there. They knocked down the doors of Uttarakhand, I think 1.5 years back, and a little bit they were doing some activities there, but their activities were totally confined to the urban areas, and Dehradun, Haridwar, and because it is, I think by character wise, this Aam Aadmi Party is totally a urbanized character party. It is a Delhi's party. कि कहीं किसी का घर में बिजली कट गया तो अरविंद केजरीवाल खंबा लेकर के, एक प्लास लेकर के बिजली के खंबे पे चढ़ रहा है, एंड उसके बाद मीडिया उसको कवर कर रहा है, फिर वो भीड़, एक क्राउड आ रहा है, एक डेंस पॉपुलेशन है। देन जो जो क्रेडिबिलिटी लेवल था बीजेपी और कांग्रेस का, वो क्रेडिबिलिटी लेवल इतना डाउन था कि उन दिल्ली के जो लोग थे उन्होंने कहा कि दाओ ये एक मसीहा आ गया है, मार्कल होने वाला है। वो दिल्ली के लिए उसने जो भी 5 साल किया, देन पीपल री-इलेक्टेड हिम एंड देन ही बिकेम द सेकंड टर्म चीफ मिनिस्टर, rather third term chief minister, because for a small time he served there as a chief minister, then he resigned. उत्तराखंड का जो सवाल है, उत्तराखंड में आम आदमी पार्टी के लिए बहुत बड़ी रोल है, लेकिन वो अर्बन में नहीं है। उसका जो रोल है वो इंटीरियर इलाकों में उसका रोल है, जहाँ के लोग डिप्राइव्ड हैं। जिस मकसद के लिए उत्तराखंड का ये एस्टेब्लिश हुआ स्टेट, वो लोग डिप्राइव्ड हैं। वो लोग, जो लोग उत्तराखंड के जो ओरिजिनल लोग हैं, जिनको आप उत्तराखंड के डोमिसाइली ओरिजिनल लोग कह सकते हैं, they are feeling cheated. So rather than touching the nerves of the people in the interior, remote areas of Uttarakhand, they are doing the सुविधा की राजनीति। वहां देहरादून में जाओ, एक वहां क्लॉक टावर है, वहां पर इकट्ठे हो जाओ, टोपी पहन के एक जुलूस निकाला धर्मपुर में, जो अपर मिडिल क्लास को थोड़ा मोबिलाइज किया, माइनॉरिटीज का वोट मोबिलाइज किया, थोड़ा इधर उधर करके किया कि साहब वी आर वेरी सेकुलर एंड ऑल दैट। I think the politics of the Aam Aadmi Party, I could not understand their politics. They nominated the chief minister in Uttarakhand. They first claimed that there will be a vertical division in BJP and Congress, and they will join hands. So far, no BJP, no Congress joined them. Only little bit politicians who are disgruntled, who are no relevance in BJP or Congress, they migrated, or those who are inactive. So that is the one point. Second point to the Aam Aadmi Party is they have not touched the point कि ये जो उत्तराखंड स्टेट का जो एस्टेब्लिश किया गया, ये किस कारण से किया गया। एक मैसिव मूवमेंट हुआ, पीपल्स मूवमेंट हुआ, वो लोग आए सड़कों पर, एक राज्य का स्थापना हुआ, एंड बीजेपी कांग्रेस बोथ miserably, very badly cheated people of Uttarakhand, because they failed to govern, they failed to give a good corruption free clean government. तो ये जो हो गया, ये जो उत्तराखंड स्टेट बना, ये यहाँ के जो बीजेपी और कांग्रेस के लीडर्स ने कहा, ये हमारा जो गाड़ी, हमारा रेड लाइट, लाल बत्ती तो अब बंद हो गया है, सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने बंद कर दिया, तो लाल बत्ती मिल जाएगा, कोई मंत्री का दर्जा मिल जाएगा, ये मिल जाएगा। सुभाष जी पॉइंटिंग आउट वेरी राइटली कि कोई भी अगर आपको फोन कर रहा है, आप एक इंपॉर्टेंट पोजीशन पे बैठे हुए हैं, तो दे विल मेक कॉल फॉर पर्सनल फेवर। कोई पब्लिक के लिए बात नहीं करेंगे, कोई ये नहीं कहेंगे कि ये हमारा 200 किलोमीटर 50 किलोमीटर तक कोई रोड नहीं है, रोड बनाना है। पर्सनल फेवर के लिए फोन करेंगे अगर आप यू आर सिटिंग इन इंपॉर्टेंट पोजीशन इन उत्तराखंड। सेकंड थिंग, आम आदमी पार्टी के लिए ये है कि आम आदमी पार्टी ने बहुत बाद में they intervened in so late that it is very difficult, because geographically, physically it is very difficult state कि आप एक गांव में जाने में वहां 20 वोट है, अगले गांव में 10 वोट है, अगले गांव में 3 वोट है, तो इतना, और इसीलिए आम आदमी पार्टी बड़ा क्लेवरली अपना कार्ड खेल रहा है प्लेन्स इलाके में, जहां पर आई थिंक प्लेन्स में अराउंड 35 सीट्स आर देयर इन द प्लेन डिस्ट्रिक्ट ऑफ प्लेन्स ऑफ उत्तराखंड। So they are trying to get some votes there, so that they will try to register their strong presence, which I don't think it is possible. लेकिन मैं ये बता सकता हूं कि आम आदमी पार्टी उत्तराखंड में जो भी वोट कटिंग कर रहा है वो एंटी बीजेपी वोट है। एंटी बीजेपी वोट को वो ग्रैब कर रहा है, स्पेस को, एंटी बीजेपी स्पेस को। एंड आई थिंक दैट इज माय पर्सनल कैलकुलेशन, दे आर आम आदमी पार्टी हेल्पिंग बीजेपी by more than 15 seats. BJP will get more than 15 seats because of the presence of the Aam Aadmi Party. Okay. And And now, because that then there are surveys, in some television channels and all that. So they were claiming that BJP is uh, close to little bit above the majority. Congress is very close. So they are forgetting this point that whatever Aam Aadmi Party will get the vote, 90% of votes of Aam Aadmi Party, they are the anti-BJP vote bank. So
Okay,
if they
that's
will BJP, yeah. So
yeah,
that BJP, I think it is. I think they are giving Aam Aadmi Party is giving the cakewalk to the BJP in Uttarakhand. What I think right now. Yes.
I think that allegation in Delhi also there. The BJP, Aam Aadmi Party is the B team of BJP, trying to help them out without being with them. But
No, that time, no, in Uttarakhand, Aam Aadmi Party was. I know very well that Aam Aadmi Party was a product of the Anna movement in Delhi, and Congress Party, which was ruling in Delhi for 15 years without any full stop. So that by point of time, there is a massive anti-incumbency factor against the Manmohan government, and Delhi voters also voted against that was a mandate against the Manmohan Singh government
yeah,
because Sheila Dixit's government was in Delhi. So there was no anti-incumbency factor against Sheila Dixit. It was
yeah,
basically the Anna Hazare movement was basically uh, 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 against the Manmohan Singh government, and epic center of that movement was at Delhi, Jantar Mantar.
yeah,
We all have seen together that
yeah,
Ramlila ground and all. So everybody joined, even RSS wala was in forefront in that movement. So there was a long story why the differences came between the Aam Aadmi Party and BJP. So because when they opened the political front in Delhi, so RS and BJP they became unhappy about their line of action. So that is it. So I think politics of Uttarakhand is entirely different. It is not Delhi. There is a massive anti-incumbency factor right now against the BJP. But I can tell you one thing: BJP was succeeded despite their omission and commissions. BJP massively, and I can say very successful. They converted Uttarakhand a laboratory of a Hindutva.
okay,
And all nonsense in the name of Hindutva. You have seen the whole world have seen what happened in Haridwar. They said there was a Dharma Sansad was organized, and
yes,
it was a well scripted Dharma Sansad.
yeah,
Keeping in view of the election, keeping in view of the polarized the election of the because Haridwar is a religious place, world famed religious place of Hindus. So
yes,
it was a well scripted
yeah,
attempt of the all these people to organize that Dharma Sansad in Haridwar just on the eve of the election, just to polarize the votes of the UP and Uttarakhand in Punjab and all that. So
yeah,
I think it is very difficult because when they have converted, they succeeded in converting the Uttarakhand as the laboratory of the Hindutva. And in every village, they have nothing to do with the BJP. They have nothing to do with anybody. But वो कहेंगे नहीं साहब वो हिंदुत्व के लिए वोट कर रहे हैं. मतलब वो and this WhatsApp group, the WhatsApp ministry, they are massively active in remote areas of Uttarakhand. That
yeah,
is a
yeah,
big worry, I tell you.
yes, Umakant ji. See,
Yeah.
yeah, Subash ji, see, he talked about this polarizing effect of campaigns. And I'm sure everybody knows that in US, the echo has been felt in US Congress last week. There was a deposition which asked US government to warn the Indian government about an impending genocide after the hate speeches in Haridwar and all. So we are going to that kind of situation. And do you think that the campaign, which is mostly through media, as you said, the biased media houses, the biased social media groups, WhatsApp groups, all of them together trying to make this point of, after all, politics is about the welfare of the people, who can give the, best governance. That is not the issue. It is something else. So how is it this new trend according to you? Because you observe the media, you are a media educationist yourself. How do you see this whole scenario?
See, first is just a phenomenon, what it was. Now, for example, in Uttarakhand, as I mentioned earlier, that both the Congress government and BJP government, they have not been able to come up with expectations of the people, both the parties. So there is a disillusionment on the people against both the parties. So if it's in anti-incumbency, I think anti-incumbency is against the political class of Uttarakhand, not any particular political party. There is, of course, a political void, which will be the third force kind of a thing. I've tried to grab that party, but there are so many smaller parties, and as the way our politics is, they couldn't get formed any form an alliance. So that fight will continue, and still the battle, I think, is between the Congress and the BJP. That is point one which you mentioned. AAP experiment to see AAP is a party in Delhi. They won 62 out of 70 for Delhi. They transformed the hospitals, the government schools, and then service delivery was very, very efficient at the war. And then the revenue management was excellent of this Kejriwal. In fact, they were giving all these free water for weaker sections, electricity, and so many other things. But the financial management of Delhi government was so efficient that they could generate resources to fund these kind of things. So that is why they succeeded in Delhi. In Uttarakhand, their entry is very late. And they haven't formulated that kind of some kind of model of the government which will make a difference. So I don't think as of now, AAP will create an impact. But I think AAP is not contesting the elections to win the elections this time. They are just trying to prepare a ground for them for the future. AAP is not in the reacting. That's one thing. Third thing, I think you mentioned about this Hindutva.
Yeah.
You see the Dharma Sansad
and the media, social media campaign.
I'm coming to that media.
Yeah.
That Dharma Sansad, I come from Rishikesh. I never heard of anything but it's called Dharma Sansad. I had never heard of that name of that person who made that obnoxious statement. I think it was not a statement in the Dharma Sankat. It was the media which created hatred. It was media coverage of that event which was problematic. मैंने नाम ही नहीं सुना था कि वो संत कौन थे जिन्होंने बयान दिया. And what is his hold over the Hindus? What is his influence? He is nobody, in my opinion. The problem is media today is media is giving disproportionate coverage whenever there are some very, very extremist statement by these religious leaders, whether Muslims or Hindus. So that is the problem with the media. So I think it's not the Dharma Sankat which is the problem. The problem is the media coverage. Then you talked about the something that happened in the US Congress. You see, in recent years, India is going down. Well, I don't give the very great credit to these Western think tanks, but still we cannot ignore them. India is going down the democracy index. India is going down in freedom index. India is going down in press freedom index. India is going down in happiness index. In every index which reflects the quality of life, we are going down. Next point is the greatest civilization. In fact, Indian civilization is something which is pre-religion. जब दुनिया में religion नहीं थी तब Indian civilization आई थी. And when we say India Hindu, all came from Indus Valley civilization and Sindhu Nadi. So the way the Hinduism is being interpreted is totally distorted present. Now, coming to Indian image in the global sphere, if have you heard that there was that one occasion when Kamala Harris and Modi were addressing the same gathering or some press conference. She used very strong word about democracy, about press freedom, about judicial intelligence. Now, what is our narrative in the global media sphere today? What is our narrative? What for we are being known for?
Okay.
We are being known for mob lynching. We are being known for use of these government agencies against the political opponents.
Yes.
We are being known for the curb on the press freedom. We are being known for people being arrested.
Yes.
We are being known for. So that is our image. We are not being seen as a great Indian civilization.
Yes.
That is our narrative in the global news sphere.
That's a sad situation.
Which I think
we have to wrap it up because it's almost 40 minutes. They don't allow you more than this thing. And these days, even the foreign payments are very difficult if you have to pay. So banks will ask you too many questions. And thank you both for joining and such an incisive.